Hello everyone, I am Teacher Yang from 591 Lab. Today I'll demonstrate how to log into 591 Lab's RAC to practice the CCIE. This includes how to use our CCIE RAC reservation system. Before we start, just now I checked the results. Today's results for 2 students, one of whom just got their CCIE score. Just today, the score came out, May 23rd. The results for another student today haven't come out yet, but it's not a big issue, including the results from yesterday's student, which came out on May 22nd, including the 5 students from last week, who all passed the CCIE certification exam on their first try. Okay, next I will show you how to log into our RAC and conduct experiments. Because sometimes I might be busy at work or sometimes I have overtime, I want to practice the CCIE Lab at my own time, so how do I do that? Actually, at 591 Lab, we've developed our own system. You see, now we have 9 RAC sets. For instance, if I want to reserve RAC 101, right, and you find out, oh, these are already booked, it means a student has already reserved it. Okay, then I switch to RAC 102. On RAC 102, I can choose my own time slot, like if I want to reserve it for tomorrow from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I select it. This is available, meaning it's available for reservation, right? So if it says booked here, it means a student has already reserved this time slot, which is very flexible. You can choose your own time to reserve the RAC for practicing version updates, right? Hey, if there isn't a time slot that fits my schedule, no worries. We have 9 RAC sets. I'll just switch to RAC 103, right? Hey, for example, tomorrow from noon to 3 p.m. I can also practice. You see, this is an available status. We can guarantee that every student at 591 Lab preparing for the exam has at least 3 hours a day for this kind of labby practice, right? If I think 3 hours isn't enough, no worries, we can set up in the back end, like reserving 2 time slots, right? Letting you practice even more is no issue, and moreover, on our RAC system, you see we also have these RACs, 111, 112, 113, all can be reserved according to your own schedule. And you can reserve a RAC time for up to 7 days in advance, like today is the 23rd, we can reserve until May 29th, right? Then tomorrow you can reserve for May 30th. Just like this, it's very convenient. We can choose our own time to practice the lab. And moreover, at 591 Lab, not only do I practice the lab, but I can also reserve according to my own time slot. Moreover, our entire lab provides everyone with very detailed documentation. This documentation, like the TOLP, this is very simple. This is our requirement. The entire requirement can be seen in a total of 205 pages. This document includes requirements, solutions, including, you see, this is the solution part for the SDN, very detailed. Very detailed. So when everyone is practicing, if you say I'm starting from scratch, or say I haven't practiced versions before, I'm not familiar with SDN, but actually you can just follow each step marked on the diagram, right? We've written it in great detail. Then you follow the steps one by one. There won't be any problems, no problems at all. So this is our solution document, totaling 205 pages. Okay, then after finishing the lab, for example, in the reservation system, right, after I've reserved for tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., what do I do after finishing? What I call versioning is that every time I practice, I discover some issues that might occur. After finishing, we will have, we have prepared Python scripts, a one-click way to collect your work. Right, after you finish your lab, what's your configuration? Then through a script, we pull down your configuration. This forms a configuration comparison file. I can open any one of them. You see here, isn't there a lot of these comparison files? These are from today or yesterday or these past few days. So students submit a lot of work, a lot indeed. Just opening any one, you can see the left side is the standard. The standard is flawless. The right side, however, is the configuration our students have entered. So after each session, we must compare it to the standard, only then we know where we made mistakes. Try to encounter all possible problems during regular practice sessions so that during the exam, no matter what issues you face, you can handle them and solve them. That's the true purpose of practicing versions, not just to practice versions every day, right? Then you practice against the requirements and go through it once. Practice it every day until you're very familiar with it. Then go to the exam, but end up failing. Why? Because you practice every day, you might forget a particular feature at this point, or you might type a command incorrectly, or maybe the phenomenon is correct, but then you miss some features, leading to not scoring on that requirement. So when you get to the exam and you make the same mistake again, you'll fail the exam. So when practicing versions, it's essential to submit work. You must look at the standard, you must create such comparison files. That way, every practice session can be effective, becoming meaningful and valuable, right? So about reserving a value, then practicing version compared to the standard. After all these are finished, actually before the exam, 591 Lab also organized its own set of pre-exam instructions. These instructions are from all our students who attended the CCIE exam coming back and giving us feedback. Then we organize and summarize it, right? Including how to do well at the exam venue, including the problems you might encounter during the exam, and how to solve them, the exam interface, where should I design on this interface, then working on DOU, and then where is the topology in DOU. In our pre-exam instructions, everything is written very detailed. Everything you can think of, we have prepared for you. The reason we do this is to ensure that everyone can be perfectly prepared at 591 Lab for practicing the CCIE versions, the process of preparing for the CCIE to ensure it's done right. Details determine success or failure to ensure it's foolproof. So ultimately, when you go to take the CCIE Lab exam, you can pass the CCIE certification exam on your first try. Actually, nowadays, the cost of taking the CCIE certification exam is $1,600 per attempt, right? That fee is quite high. So what we need to do is take care of all the details, everything about the version, as well as the design, including the solutions and optimization of solutions, so that we ensure that everyone can pass the CCIE certification as reliably as possible on their first try. So everyone who comes to 591 Lab to prepare for the CCIE Lab. So whether it's from the perspective of version pricing or reservations, then the time spent practicing in the lab, the comparison after completing the lab, including pre-exam tutoring and the pre-exam instructions, etc. It's a comprehensive service. Okay, so this is a brief introduction to our 591 Lab rack practice. Alright.